I was always obsessed with building and with houses and interiors, and I always said, even though they laughed at me at home, that I was going to build a big house up in the middle of the big field.
So I had done a course in 2011, a passive house designer course, and I just really bought into the whole passive build. And I always said I'd love at some stage in my life, if it got the chance, to build a passive house.
He used to always tell me about this course and about like the experience he had, because he went into, it was one of Ireland's first passive houses.
Well, it was a house. There was a house we went to visit in the course that was a passive house, and I was just blown away by I suppose the quality of the air quality, just the comfort inside in the house, which I kept telling people about the smell of fresh air, which people thought I was losing the plot, but there was just this smell of fresh air in the house.
We're in Medelgo, County Waterford.
We went with timber frame. I personally think timber frame is probably the best and the easiest way of achieving passive. It's all, the workmanship is all done in a factory, like, and once you have your passive details accredited, like, it's very simple. At the end of the day, timber itself is a kind of an insulator as well, like, you know, so it doesn't conduct the cold in it as much as a solid concrete block. And for passive then, as well, as Niamh said earlier, like, you're trying to keep the design fairly simple, like it's a glorified box in a box with a small projection, like, you know, but it just shows that, like, you don't need to go mad in your design to have something that still looks okay, because, like, sometimes you will hear people talking about passive houses and they go, oh, they're so plain, they have to be plain for there to be a passive house, but it's wrong. Like, you don't have to have it plain. It can be a normal, aesthetically pleasing house and still work as a passive house.
We have the same tile in all our en-suites, and it was literally the cheapest tile in the shop. We bought all our sanitary ware in the one place, so we got a good discount at the end. I spoke to the plumber, speak to the trades, ask him where can I cut costs. So the plumber basically told me, Niamh, get a cheap toilet. You don't need a really expensive toilet. So I got the cheapest toilets, as long as it kind of had the specification that we wanted.
We don't even have a bathroom in the house as such, because we have 3 bedrooms. Like, when visitors call to visit you and say hello and they're having a cup of tea or something, they don't need to go to a bathroom. They need a toilet and a sink. So our main bathroom, if you want to call it, is literally a room with a toilet and a sink. We have the bath in our ensuite, and the 2 other rooms downstairs, they didn't need a shared bathroom, so just gave them both an ensuite.
They say that building a passive house, they say 10% extra, but, like, it depends on how big the house is, I suppose, and what 10% is. But really, it's just attention to detail. Do you know, it's kind of just knowing what you're doing and setting out to achieve that level of kind of, not perfection, but to achieve a really high standard, and making sure that people are kind of on board. I was also taking the inspiration from what's around us. So when we were picking the colours for the walls, the paint colours, like the Knockmeal Downs there and the Cummers over there, so we're surrounded by mountains. So I was like looking at the colours of the mountains and going, they're beautiful, and I wanted this deep kind of earthy vibe anyway. And then it just kind of flowed from there. But in regards to the interiors, texture was massive for me. Like, so we went with a lighting designer, and light itself is a texture. Do you know, it's warmth, it's you know, it's ambient lighting. But even just kind of bringing in as much kind of sensual bits as I could.
That's why I suppose I was saying earlier that if you give yourself a realistic time frame to build it, you're not rushing, you're not pushing the whole time, so you can actually kind of enjoy it. Now, you are trying to build it as fast as you can, but you do enjoy the journey along the way. Like every time you walk into a room or you walk into any part of the house, there's a memory of the build. We submitted the planning, like the pre-planning had said, yeah, look, in general we'd be okay with it because the Neve's uncle's house next was actually quite an elevated bungalow. So our 2-story wasn't going to be towering over it. So they were kind of okay that way. And then I suppose planning at the time, it's changing now since, but planning at the time were in favour of sons and daughters of farmers building on the land. I suppose the other side of certified as well is there's lots and lots of people now that they're going towards passive, or they're building, or they're speaking to consultants that are passive house designers. There is an additional cost to go certified, and I suppose that's just a thing that because we've actually built a passive house and I wanted a passive house, you want the plaque on the door to actually prove that you've achieved it. So that's one side of it. But the other side is a lot of people are building passive houses and modern houses, airtight and good airtightness, triple glazed windows and really good insulation. And we think in Ireland that we're always cold, but they're forgetting about the fact that we do get sunshine in Ireland and we're not actually a cold climate. So the biggest issue in Irish houses now is overheating.
I manage the balance sheets, I suppose.
Neve's the accountant, yeah.
Mark was the secretary, ringing everyone to make sure they were going to be there when they said they were going to be there. But in regards budgeting, I suppose because Mark had built a house before, he knew that like when things get tight, they really get tight. So you had a tight rein on me at the start to be like, Niamh, like, yeah, I had not notions, but like you do dream big, so you kind of want it all, but you pared me back a lot. So initially, I suppose it was the size of the house. So if I asked for an extra bit of a walk-in wardrobe, Mark would be like, that'll cost you 8,000 to get that extra bit of space.
We didn't really know.
You had a good guess what the house is going to cost.
I suppose from my background, I would have had an idea, but I suppose each year things are changing. Like back when I started in this game, I suppose in engineering, like, and I was drawing houses a small bit, like houses were being built for 70 and 80 euro a square foot, like. But now we kind of worked on the basis that all going well, we were hoping somewhere between 130 and maybe 120 to 140 euros a square foot was our kind of budget price. We said, look, if we can work to that basis and try and get it there, we're doing well. Now that was kind of a finished price.
I love the fact that like every single inch of it is invested time by us in the last 2 years. I can remember like wrecking the lads' head, getting those hidden blind feature in. I can remember like, you know, deciding on the windows, you know, even though you did the design, like every single inch we've kind of witnessed it.
And I suppose then just every morning I get up to go to work, like you get up into this kitchen and you still kind of pinch yourself going, it's actually ours, like, you know, because for so long we were down on the field looking down at that view going, wouldn't it be so cool to be up that 3 or 4 meters in the air, and I can't wait to see it when we get there. And we're here now. You sit at your island, or you sit at your kitchen table in the morning having breakfast and you're just looking out into the view, like, and this is our home, like, it's amazing, like.